I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, the COVID-19 lockdown was a time of desperation, no doubt, but it was also a time of inspiration. For Christopher Steed, it was certainly a time of inspiration. He has penned a remarkable novel. It is called Letters from a Shuttered Country, a powerful lockdown novel about redemption. And we are delighted to have Christopher Steed join us here today on Spotlight. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks very much. Pleasure to be here and talk to your audience and to yourself.
Our pleasure, 100%. Loved your book. It's the story of a lot of people, a lot of stories melded into a narrative. Tell the audience briefly what it's about.
Okay, so this was set, the immediate setting was in lockdown, but beyond that, it traces the lives of some characters, and they are meeting up again in lockdown and beginning to have conversations. And as they talk, their backstory emerges, Logan, and they've got a story to tell, and a lot of drama in it, and a lot of human interest, and a dark secret has emerged. That gripped all these characters into a narrative. It actually held them in chains because of what happened when they were kids. Mm. And so the story emerges, and this dark secret emerges. I'm not sure I want to give a spoiler alert and say
we don't want to give too much. Yeah, we don't want to give too much away, but we can tell you it's the compelling story of a number of people brought together by this one event, and it's powerfully written and it's creatively written. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Did you write this actually during lockdown?
So I penned a draft of this about 20 years ago. And sent it to various publishers, and they said, well, what's the context? What drives it? What gives it a creative impetus? And so when lockdown happened, that's also true of another book I did at the time called The Seven Songs, trying to make sense of life, trying to make sense of the big themes of human existence. And so these kind of companion books were there, but it's all about modern people trying to find their way through life and navigating, because COVID-19 was a massive existential shock. Mm. All the safe certainties, how do you do life? It was all upturned. And so this provided a setting for my story, and it brings a racial dimension into it. It brings AIDS, because they're all looking back at what happened in their narrative, in their story, and then the human dramas begin to evolve. And sometimes they're meeting on Zoom, and sometimes they're just telling and relating their own story. So at one point, some of the characters they're all tasked with, let's go away and write something, a bit like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. We're in these lockdown circumstances. Let's try and come up with a creative story, and which is going to be illustrative of their lives. And that is what happens.
Wonderful. Have you visualized this as a film or a movie?
Definitely, it's got film potential beyond doubt. Beyond doubt, I'd love to. Can't think who would be some good actors for this, but beyond doubt, there is in the right hands, and with a good film score, I think it could be a compelling story. I really do. It's got cinematic potential written all over it. I just like some producer, screenwriter to grab it and do something with it. That's not my craft. I can give some creative ideas, and I've written this narrative. It would be for others to turn it into a potential. I can feel the buzz. I can feel the goosebumps rising here, Logan, because it's got something in it, I believe.
Absolutely. I think a lot of actors would love to be in this film because you really develop the characters so well and their stories are so compelling that I do think that this would be a magnificent movie or even a series on Netflix or Amazon
Yeah.
Prime or something like that. There's a lot there to be told. So I think it's very much a good fit for cinema. Now, you've written another book as well, and this book is more of a therapeutic book. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so I am by trade, and I've been I'm a writer and an academic. I'm also a therapy trainer. That's what I do. I'm speaking to you right now, Logan, from my office in London, where I teach. I'm head of a department teaching psychotherapy, and what I've done is to articulate a form of therapy that we had here, and I've given it a booster rocket and an articulation and developed it quite a lot. This is not a theoretical framework. I need to say it's already working. It's operative in a low-cost counselling service in North London. It's not just a work of theory only. And it's about how modern people can find their way through the distresses that come to them. So it's an innovative approach, finding the valuable person. And there's a backstory there, which probably we haven't got time to explore now, but the whole way in which that theme came to me very strongly a dozen or more years ago, around the time when I started to write. I just felt these words, almost heard them actually. Write it, write it, write it. And I began to come up with a basic idea, and then coming here to work, I'm in this university environment, then right, here's the perfect setting for that as well. So it's about the ultimate themes, the distresses that weigh heavily upon people. It's all on my website, www.christophersteed.co.uk. You'll find something about it there, but the idea is helping people navigate life.
And the name of the book is?
Finding the Valuable Person.
Exactly.
And it's coming out.
Referring to the valuable person within each of us?
Yes, to find, because what social scripts and dramas do all the time is to devalue human beings, write us down, whether it's social circumstances, prejudices, those social realities of race and gender and all that, or interpersonal relationships. And I've kind of theorized the whole way in which that dents and erodes our sense of self, and what is the way out of that to revalue it. Essentially, I was doing some therapy one day with a client, and they were narrating their distress, and then they turned around and said to me, but you know, I'm worth more than that. A familiar enough saying. So why did that strike me as if we're discussing someone's property value or their car or something? I'm worth more than that. And I began to theorize. It's pucker academic stuff. It's got 600 endnotes, footnotes, it's all proper stuff. But I began to write up a therapy. How could that germ of an idea be turned into a therapy for everyone to enjoy or receive from?
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's meld your two worlds together here. You wrote about the lockdown and you wrote about therapy. Certainly, the lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic, which still persists, has been very difficult upon our mental health.
Yeah.
How are we as a world, as a nation, when it comes to recovering from this awful chapter in our lives, which I must say was the worst of times, but also, as Dickens writes, the best
of times. Yeah. Well, I think for some it was a chance to cultivate their inner garden as well as their outer garden, very likely. But crucially, I think it brought a lot of anxiety and depression, because we have in our contemporary world, we suffer from the happiness problem, which is that we expect the world to be a benign, happy place. And something is going wrong if I'm not happy, you know, what's going wrong here? What's going on? And I think people have a hard time at what you might call an existential level handling life when it's all very difficult. And I think that's part of it, quite apart from the loss of human contacts and all that, and the deaths, of course. Just here today in the UK, they've been denoting the numbers of deaths that were extra because of COVID. So the weight of social of all these realities, economic reality as well, really weighed very heavily just upon our sense of worth and value. And so that's why these worlds come together, both in the book and in the novel rather, and in the therapy book.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, they are both wonderful works of literature. One, a work of nonfiction, of course, the book on therapy, the other, a novel. It is called Letters from a Shuttered Country, a powerful lockdown novel about redemption. You can find out more. The website is on your screen, www.christophersteed.co.uk.
Yeah.
And you can order the books there. You can read about Christopher and his life. And these books are highly recommended.
I should just say, if I may, the non-fiction book is also, hopefully, it's written well. It's crafted with, with literary sensitivity. Plus, the novel has appended to it a batch of love poetry. So these are love poems that are like the appendix, but they form an integral part of the book, and they're woven into it. And I'm not claiming to be a great poet, but I thought it would benefit from some poetry.
Absolutely. Well, you're an eloquent man, and that eloquence is found throughout your work, and we appreciate that. Are you working on anything new?
Well, I'm just, as of late last night, I should say, I finished the corrections to this Finding the Valuable Person therapy book. My next project that I've just done, coming back from a voyage. I've just done a 2-week voyage, and I've had lots of writing time. And it's all about the existence of God, and can we take what's going on inside of us to be total mismatch with the way the cosmos, the universe, is set up? Or is there any way that kind of aligns and fits in, so our own need of significance and worth actually corresponds to, is there anything in me that corresponds to what's out there? And that's what this explores.
Very, very intriguing. Looking forward to that as well. Christopher Steed, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much indeed. Take care.
And I'm Logan Crawford, to the folks at home, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.